Alrighty, folks, we here. We here. And guess what? We won 1-0, baby. We won 1-0. And that is really all you can ask for. That's really all you can ask for. Now listen. Not a great performance from Chelsea, but sometimes the dub is what matters. And last year we played a lot of these games. And did not win those games. But, first game back out of an international break. And a very difficult opponent. Okay? Like, Bournemouth are very difficult to play against for Chelsea. The last, I think if we look at their historical head-to-head, draw, win at the end of the season. So, whatever. Win, draw, loss, narrow win, loss, narrow win. They're hard, given their... Stylistically, they've been difficult for Chelsea. And Iraola is a very good coach. So we'll talk about some tactical stuff, but let's go through the game. Let's go through the stats. There's some questions popping in already. If you ever can't see the screen or can't hear me or anything, let me know. I'm usually 30 seconds ahead of the chat or something, but let's go. So there are a couple questions popped in because you guys were in here already, which is nice. Nkunku limited PL minutes, load management, or freezing out a higher? I think it's load management. I think they're being very cautious with his minutes. I also think Nkunku was not a clear lake buy. So I think there is they want Felix to play, is my feeling. Is it the Chardonnay talking, or did Bob Sanchez have a good game? Sanchez was really, really good. Really good. I'm going to putting aside him giving away the penalty, which is not his fault. It's a bad challenge, but he goes like this to make the save, and we could talk about the 1v1 technique, and then he just stands there and gets run into. It's not really his fault. It's all Fofana. Great save on the penalty. This is huge. This basically brings him back to 0 or better for the season. I can take that. His distribution first half was really shit, but second half was good. What else we got in here? 0.14 XG on Nkunku's goal. Does that seem right? Given he's being pushed and falling over, I think yes. But I think based on the position, no. It's probably better than that. Actually, there's a fun... Let me show this. Here. Some guy made an online tool using the StatsBomb free data from 2015-16. And you can play around with different stuff, and you can see. So this is based on legit StatsBomb data that they've released. And so his shot is probably somewhere here. So it's probably a little bit better by the StatsBomb data, which is fun. 8 cards from 9 fouls versus 6 cards from 16 fouls. I thought Anthony Taylor was so bad. So bad. He broke the Premier League record for cards in a game. It was so bad. It was really, really tough. What is Palmer saying? Okay, and we'll get into some other. Let's get into the game. Why not? So we'll pull out the tactics board. This is how Chelsea started the game. Okay, in the build. This is not how Bournemouth started. So I make these dashboards before the games start based on how I think it's going to go, and then I change it based on what happens. So under Iraola, Bournemouth have pressed in a diamond a lot. That is not how they press today. Today they press like this, with these two players like this, and these two players like this. Really, the way it actually worked was more so they'd start 4-2-3-1, and then they'd have the 9 come out and the winger come out, and they'd sit like this, and they'd force them right, and then they'd jam hard over here. And so what this led to is Disasi out here having to make plays all the time, or Colwill out here having to make plays all the time. And what ends up happening is, okay, well, you take away Colwill here, and he's going to get pressure from the inside to Disasi. So, like, you don't want to make plays from these positions. So you end up with these two guys. Fofana can't pass. He's, like, not a good passer. It is by far the weakest part of his game. And Sanchez being forced to just kick long balls to Neto and Madueke the whole game because every player in here is just getting rammed every time they touch the ball. Just getting rammed. This was the first half. The first half was so bad. I think I called on Twitter the worst half that has happened under Maresca. It was dreadful. Until Disasi came off in the 60th minute. There's two changes. So one, we saw Neto go off for Sancho. Right? Neto went off for Sancho. And I think the big thing that helped here is that Sancho was so secure in possession. I bet you, let's see, Neto turned it over 5 times on passes, 1 time on dribbles, 0 dispossession. So of the 15 times, 16 times he touched the ball, he turned it over 6 times. That's just very difficult for Maresca's style of play, the way he wants to play, to work if you turn the ball over all the time. It doesn't work. This has been by far the biggest thing that has been clear so far, is that these players have to make the ball stick. If you turn it over, you're toast. If we look at Sancho, 2 turnovers on passes, 2 turnovers on dribbles. So he has 4 turnovers in like 30 touches to Neto having 6 turnovers on 16 touches. Like, it just makes a huge difference. And I will say, I think the same thing is true of Madueke. I thought Madueke had a really bad game. Mostly because I think he did not do a good job of getting into the box, but also, like, he had a difficult time getting free to go at people as a winger. And part of that is because he was stuck with this guy at right back, but, like, I don't think Madueke had a good game. So what we saw eventually was Sancho came for Neto. We saw that Fofana went wide, and I don't know what number Tosin wears. Does anyone know what number Tosin wears? I guess I can check. What, number 4. So Tosin came for Disasi, and whatever. I'm not going to do the Felix for Madueke and whatever, because it didn't really change anything. But now, what we saw instead was that these guys built way narrower. And whatever, this was Palmer instead of Madueke, and this was Felix, and I guess I'll just change it because it bothers me. So, like, this was the main set of changes we saw. But now, Tosin is such a better passer than Madueke, or than Fofana, sorry, that Fofana can be wide, and Colwill can stay narrow, and Sancho can work here and keep the ball all the time. And now he was way more comfortable playing into Caicedo and Vega. How many times did we see when Tosin came on where he just breaks a line, zips it into Caicedo or Vega's feet, and they just bounce and we're out, and the press is broken? We saw a really nice action where it went into Caicedo, bounced, Fofana breaks the line to Palmer, and we're through. We saw a couple where Tosin went straight into Felix. We saw a couple where he went straight into Jackson. Like, for this setup to work, your center backs have to be comfortable playing slow, and they have to be comfortable. Like, I don't want to be the De Zerbi mean, like, oh, they have to put their studs on the ball, but, like, they have to be comfortable. Like, the ball is at my feet, and I can pass the ball now. Whereas if you watch Fofana, when Fofana is here, he's like, I want to dribble somewhere. I'm not cool, like, just sitting here and waiting for the passing lane to open, because the passing lane's open. And those, I think, were the two, like, key changes that helped Chelsea in the second half. Like, if we look at the stat breakdown, right, 1.6 to 0.6, okay, that's like 0.75 of that is a penalty, about half of that's a penalty. So it's about an even-ish game on XG. That's all the first half. Second half is like even-ish, but I think maybe the Nkunku chance is a little bit underrated, and maybe some of these are overrated. I don't know. But I thought the last 30 minutes in particular was a lot better from Chelsea. But again, to be very clear, I do not think Chelsea were particularly good today. I thought they really struggled playing through the press, and Chelsea have really struggled every time we have played Bournemouth over the past couple of years, except for that Christmas game that Reece James scored. But I think, I thought Chelsea really struggled defensively against them, and Sanchez makes a couple huge saves for you, man. It's a couple huge saves, and that goes a long way. In terms of individual performers, in terms of what I thought, who was good, who was bad, Chelsea have had a real problem coming back from international breaks with just so many dudes being exhausted. And I think we played, I'd have to go look and see the dates, but I think when we played them the first time, it was the exact same game. Yeah, September 17th, 2023. So it's the exact same match day last time. It was after the first international break, and we were brutal. Maybe not as brutal as I thought, but I think we were pretty poor in that game. And Enzo Fernandez has been exhausted every single time he comes back. And Caicedo is exhausted every single time he comes back. And Chelsea have not really had solutions for the guys who play a lot of minutes on international break. Jackson has to fly down to Africa. It's hard. It's hard to fly 6,000 miles, get back Thursday night, and then play well Saturday morning. It's really difficult. So I thought Jackson was not great today. His XG will be fine, but a lot of these get blocked. I thought this one, the little slip from Colwell, was a really nice movement. But I thought his link play was pretty poor. I thought he turned it over quite a few times on the dribble. Just not really at the races today, I didn't think. But again, it's hard. You're exhausted. Neto, I didn't think was great, but I don't think he was problematic, just turning it over a lot. Other than that, whatever. Palmer, I didn't think was very good today at all. I thought he was very whiny, which he can be. And I do think Chelsea did a bad job of getting the ball to him in good spots. There were a bunch of times he just got straight up ignored in the first half, which was not okay. And he was in good spots to get it. And I think they have to be more cognizant and concerted about getting him the ball in good spots. But I thought he did not have a great game. Madueke as well. And again, it's a lot of the guys who are have been injured or international break. It's hard. I thought Caicedo was very good. Some people would disagree. I thought he was not very good in possession. I think he was not very good in possession, but I thought defensively he was very good for how structurally poor Chelsea were today. Vega is he's so fun. He's so fun. He is so not good. He is so not good. But he is so fun. He is... Again, he jumped into the stands to celebrate. He's a fun guy who smashes people and scraps. When he's gone for his mazy dribble through, the crowd, he's bumped into Cole Palmer at the end of it, and Palmer's yelled something at him, and he just looked at him who are you? He's fun. I don't think he's great, but he was better than I thought he would be. I thought he would be significantly worse than this, but he was playable. And Bournemouth are not an easy game to play defensive midfield against. They're not an easy team to play midfield against, but I thought he was okay. So, if he has to rotate and play some DM minutes, okay. It wouldn't be my first choice. It wouldn't be my first choice to play at all, but it's okay. Cucurella was just okay. I don't think he doesn't really have any moments that stand out to me positive or negative. I thought him and Sancho had a really nice relationship of So Cucurella is very good at. We saw a lot in the second half where like Sancho would receive under pressure, or not really under pressure. He'd like kind of dribble into pressure, and he'd bring a center back. He'd bring the six over. The help would be coming, and Cucurella is really good at like this run, and then Sancho's very good at that pass. Like his pass for the goal to Nkunku is nuts. His pass to the goal for Nkunku for the goal is crazy. And he had two slips, one for Cucurella for the cutback that, Elliot Sherman is saying, like, Cucurella was robbed on that one cross. Yeah, like, that is actually, like, an amazing slip moment that, like, most of the time you get either a very high-quality chance or you score off of it. But I quite liked their chemistry together. I don't love when Cucurella is one of the higher ones. So like I thought what would happen because I thought they'd make a diamond. I thought Bournemouth would press out of a diamond. And so because I thought they'd press out of a diamond, it seemed to make sense to me that Chelsea would form the box. I think because they went to the box, it didn't really match up that well. I don't think the solutions are great, whatever. But when Chelsea go to a box, I really dislike Cucurella as one of the higher ones because he has no ability to receive like this pass and do good stuff with it. And a lot of times you need someone here who can like, whether it's a perfect layoff or the spin into the 9 or to like turn this guy, you really need that there. And Cucurella is not that. I much prefer when he is the deeper one. Like obviously you're not going to put Vega here, but I much prefer when he's the deeper one. Or even when it's like when they go diamond like this, I think it makes more sense because he doesn't have the guy red on his ass. But I think he really struggles when he's the top of the box. But so I thought he was like just fine today. Colwill I thought was excellent. And again, I really hate when he's out here because he's such a good passer that it just limits what's available to him. Like that pass that he hit to Jackson or to Felix where he's like here and hits a banana ball is one of the most insane passes I have ever seen. Like if Felix brings that down and scores, it's in every compilation ever. So I thought Colwill was really good. And again, defensively, super locked in, like a couple very good header clearances, a couple great blocks at the near post in terms of crosses. Like I thought he was really good. And I've been really impressed with him this season in terms of he's been super smart about choosing his duels. He's been super good in the air. He's been very good about like jumping in to win things. Not really interceptions, but like jumping in to disrupt play. I thought he was excellent. Fofana, I thought, had a really bad game. I thought he was very poor defensively. I thought he was very poor in possession. I thought he was way better when he went out wide. He's just like kind of up and down. But again, he's 23. He's coming back from injury. Like I'll give him a little bit of grace. Disasi was terrible. By far the worst player on the field in the first half. Like Chelsea were so much better when he got off the field. And Big Bob was pretty good. I want to go back. Somebody said, let me find it. Sultan A. I never understood the hate for Sanchez when the other options are worse. He collects crosses for days, including that last-minute corner. He prevents shots from ever happening, which goes unnoticed. I think that's very true, that he's quite a good shot preventer, both in terms of sweeping and cross-claiming. I flagged up I did a video on Robert Sanchez when we signed him and showing this stuff. Excellent cross-claimer, excellent sweeper by volume. And I mean, he showed it today. Like that cross-claim at the corner at the end is massive. Absolutely massive. So for me, it's quite nice that he came back in. The other thing that's funny is FBref is Optadata, And Optadata has him as consistently a negative shot stopper, but StatsBomb data has him consistently a positive shot stopper. So it's always very fun to compare the models. But that was a big thing. Yeah, Fofana was a pressing trigger every time he got the ball. He just can't pass. He's just not a good passer. So when you put him in situations where he has to break lines with a pass, it's not for him. When he ended up as the wide one, where now if you receive pressure from a bad angle, you dribble past him and you're free to dribble past him. Amazing. But when you're this guy here, you can't dribble past him because there's another guy. And then if you have to dribble past another guy, it's a risk. And if you lose it, it's a goal. So I like him way better when he's the right of the three than when he's the middle of the three. I think the difficult thing with the players you had today, what I thought Chelsea would do is Vega would play left back and Cucurella would play right back to go into midfield. And they would do Vega, Colwill, Fofana back three. That's how I expected they would line up. But they didn't. So whatever. Sancho, excellent. I thought he was so good as a passer in terms of not a ton of XA, right? He only creates the one shot, I think. But so good. I guess 2 shots. But so good passing the ball to people to advance it or to pass it into the box. Very good moving us up the field. Very good not turning it over. Tried hard defensively, which is nice for him. Really happy with that. Thought Tosin was very good. Super locked in. Didn't really turn it away. A couple of really good line breakers. Super happy with that. Didn't think Felix was good. I would have gone in Nkunku in the Felix role. If you go in Nkunku in the Felix role that he came on in and leave Jackson, I think that's my favorite iteration of this team right now. And Enzo where Vega is. I think that's my favorite iteration of this team right now. And then Nkunku came on, he scores the goal. I didn't think he was great otherwise, but scores the goal, and that's all you got to do, which is really what matters. Sancho out there doing the Hazard playmaker thing. Do you think he needs to be our main left winger? Again, I don't want to get carried away. Again, Chelsea were not very good today. It was an even XG game in the second half. That they scored is great, but I think we should probably not get carried away with what this was. But I think it is really it's Neto or it's Sancho. I don't think Mudryk is playing. Somebody said, is Mudryk relegated to third choice left winger? I just don't think he plays at all. He's going to play Conference League and nothing else. And that's tough. I think it's a really interesting spot. So we'll see. Sancho's pass to Nico for the wide miss was excellent too. No look outside the foot. Yeah, he's a nifty passer, man. He can pass. Aaron Moniz, who's he's another Canadian, he's a United fan. He did a lot of work showing what Sancho is. And Sancho in the Premier League is not a transformative athlete. He's just not quick enough or rapid enough to consistently he goes by guys, but he doesn't go by guys in the way that gets you into the box. He goes by guys in the way that gets you up the field, if that makes sense. And but the plus skill set that he does have is he's a legit special passer. Kind of in the way Hudson-Odoi is also a quite good passer. And I think for him, he really needs to lean into that. Get the ball into the box. Be that guy. So that's always fun. I think for West Ham, it should be Sanchez, Fofana, Tosin, Colwill, Cucurella, Caicedo, Enzo, Palmer, Nkunku, Sancho, Jackson, or Neto for Nkunku with Palmer 10. I don't know. We'll talk about that lineup at the end, but I'll come back to that because I think there's good questions. Is playing Conference League a better development plan for Mudryk or, for example, a championship loan? The one that I heard was a Dortmund loan was talked about. I don't know how real that is. It's one of those things you hear towards the end of the window as something that came up earlier in the window, and you're like, I don't know about that. I would take I wouldn't do a championship loan for Mudryk. I think that would be bad. But I would definitely do a Bundesliga loan for him and let him just rent wingers in transition. I mean, before Chelsea scored, I was like, I want to bring him on for Disasi at right back. That's what I would have done and just chase the game with him as a fullback. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think they're coming to a point with that guy, though, about like they got to figure out what they want to do. And if Nkunku keeps scoring, they can't not play Nkunku and do something else. So we'll see. We'll see on that one. But I think like it was an interesting one. I don't want Nkunku on the wing. I need him centrally. I think Nkunku's like a good plug and play guy. Like he can do lots of things depending on the game. Like one thing that I've talked about I want to see Chelsea do sometimes is like right now the fullback always goes into midfield, right? But you can have situations where like maybe it's Chilwell and then your left winger, if this is Nkunku, goes inside. And now it's double sixes. Whatever, it would be like this. It's double sixes and then your 10s are a winger and a 10. And you still have the 4, and you still always have the 2 and 2 for transition, or the 3 and 2 for transition, always. But it's a fullback giving you width. And I think like with Chilwell or with Gusto or with Reece James, like maybe that makes sense, and maybe we see that. I'm very curious to see how Maresca grows. Is it like a young coach who's still learning? So we'll see. We'll see how those things come up. I want to see if some other stats. The other thing I'm going to ask, it's not up there yet. When Maresca talks, somebody tell me in the chat, because I want to see what he thought of the game today. I want to see Maresca's post-match comments. So when he talks, somebody let me know, and I'll go look on Twitter. But yeah, let me know on that one. What's funny is with the wide out left back, you end up with a standard Poch 4-2-3-1. I don't think so. Like, it's still like you can do 3-2-4-1, 3-2-5, however you want to call it. It's just like the players that make the box and the players that are wide are different. Like you could even imagine situations where like both your right backs are here and you do like this or something to make your 3-2-5. Like there's lots of really funky ways you can do there's really funky ways you can do it. And so far like we saw in preseason like a couple different ways. And we've seen Chelsea do sometimes 3-2-2, but sometimes 3 diamond. Like we've seen both. We've seen 4-2 in the build as well. We see keeper and center back sometimes. Like we've seen some different ideas, so I'm not ruling it out that we see there. And that Chilwell is in the squad and is not banished is a good thing. I think that opens that window to be there. So I think that is really interesting. Missed the game. How was the performance? Just okay. Not very good actually. We were kind of bad. But we won, and that sometimes matters more. So like if we think about it now, Chelsea are 7 points from 4 games. Last year, through 4 games, let's see where Chelsea were. I think we also had 7 points. Yeah, 7. No, we had 4 points through 4 games last year. 4 points through 4 games last year, 7 this year, with basically the same slate of opponents. Basically the same slate of opponents if you think about it. Like, this is about the same as City. We lost that. We beat Wolves. We draw Palace. And we beat Bournemouth, which is not bad. It's not bad. Also, 3 unbeaten in the league. I'll take that. We got West Ham next week, which will be interesting. Elliot Sherman, whoops, wrong link. Sorry. I assume somebody tweeted at me. Somebody tweet me where the stuff is if he's talking about it. Who is it? Who normally comes up? Is it CFC Daily? That's the guy, right? That's the guy who tweets all the post-game stuff. Maresca confirms he's happy with Robert Sanchez. Sanchez is a good player and profile. Don't see problems around Jadon. Says this is football because we deserved to win against Palace but didn't, and we didn't deserve to win today. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. I think we played 2 different games, first half or second half. I will not talk about the referee. Sure, whatever. Yeah, I think that's fair. Sancho got player of the match. That's all right. I'll take that. Yeah, like this is what I'm saying, man. This guy's box office. Look at him. He just jumps in. He jumps into the crowd just because the people aren't even celebrating over there, and he just does it. The guy's fun. I think I will say, Iraola will not talk about the referee. I will say, like, Cucurella should probably be sent off, but it happens. So listen, I think Kedar, yeah, we should have picked up more points at the start of last year. This is what I want to talk about. Chelsea last year missed Champions League by 6 points, right? So they were 5 behind, call it 5 points. 5 points behind Villa. What we know is that, like, last year, Chelsea were comfortably the best of these teams. This year, Villa have decided that they'll never lose again, and John Duran will score the most ridiculous goals at the end of every single game ever. We'll put that aside for now, because I don't think that's going to continue. But Chelsea shot themselves in the foot by being good but dropping lots of points at the beginning of the season. Thomas Wilkinson, thank you for putting that comment, because I wanted to talk about that and I missed it, and I saw you post that earlier, so we're going to talk about that. But so last year, Chelsea dropped a lot of points early in the season that they probably shouldn't have dropped, right? Like, you lose the West Ham game that you probably deserve to draw or win. There's a point. You lose the Forest game that you deserve to win. There's 4 points. You draw the Bournemouth game that maybe you should win. You lose the Villa game that maybe you should draw. All of a sudden, there's 5 points. Like, you draw Villa, they're down to 66, you're up to 64, and you flip the Forest game, and there's Champions League. That's how tight the margins are for top 4, right? Like, that's how tight it can be. And, like, whatever, Chelsea stole some games in different places of the season, but, like, you flip those 2 results. Like, I think we drew Villa the second time or lost to Villa the second time. Where's the second Villa game? Yeah, we draw 2-2 in another game that, like, you can probably win. And I think that stuff, like, I think people really underestimate, like, how Chelsea basically were a Champions League team last year. So this season, it's like, okay, you start with 7 points. You're 3 points up on last year already. Immediately, already. Doesn't matter. You're already 3 points up. So I think, like, this is good. This is good. You seal that result. Like, that's a fine place to be. Thomas Wilkinson, do you think the pitches, both field quality and actual size of pitch, has on our play style? Because I hear people talk about Stamford Bridge being too narrow, and the Vitality feels that way too. People talk about the pitch size. I think it's somewhat overblown. Like, so, like, let's see. Let's see if we can actually find Premier League pitch sizes and talk about it. The research on pitch sizes is mixed. This seems like a reliable source. Football Fancast. Sure. Nottingham Forest have the largest pitch in the whole league. Sure. Like, this is... I don't think there's much there. Like, the research is kind of limited. Like, maybe pressing teams play better on small pitches. But, like, I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much. All these ones are the exact same because these are all the generic, like, 105 by 80. 105 by 68, yeah. And meters. Let's see. We're not even the smallest. Who's smaller than us, though? Bournemouth probably weren't in the league whatever season they wrote this. I don't know. I really don't think it matters. I think the quality of the pitch matters. Like, we saw the Servette game was really bad, but I don't think the size matters that much. I think it's kind of overblown. Stamford Bridge, 13th biggest pitch. Yeah, like, so, whatever, something like that. I don't think it really impacts things that much. I want to see the actual, like, full Maresca quotes. Let me see. Post Matt. Wow, I can't type at all when my mic is in the way of my keyboard. Size matters not here. It's about how you use the pitch, mate. It's about how you use the pitch. That's what we need to know. Bournemouth is 105 by 68. See, like, they're fine. That's an average pitch. So I don't think, again, I don't think it really matters that much. Let's see. Live reporting. I think we played two different games. First half we struggled, didn't win deals, didn't win second balls. Totally agree, right? Like this is a thing. This is a thing with. I talked about this before. So like when you set up this way, whatever. Let me go, whatever. And it was not. Jeez, I gotta fix this all up. Pretend these are the first half players because I don't want to change everybody back again. When you build like this. And you have your wingers here. And your 9 is here. And you have your 10s like this, kind of. And your center backs are as wide as the pitch. And then your goalkeeper and center back get scared. And hoof the ball to here. You cannot win second balls. It's not possible. Because they have 5 players in the middle of the pitch. And you have no ability to contest second balls. And that was the whole first half, was like just kick long balls to Neto to win headers, which is never going to happen, man. Never going to happen. So like part of that is your fault, Maresca. I think that's true that they didn't win second balls, but part of that is you. I agree on the duels, like lost so many 50-50s and stuff like that. Second half much better. Overall, I think we create many chances. The game was there and we were happy. I don't really agree with that. I think it was a lot better. I don't think it was good still. We were already better with the same players. I think that's true. I don't think we were a lot better, but it was definitely true. We knew we had to get a shirt ready, win duels, and fight. Sure. It's very funny when you hear tactics coaches talk about this. I don't see problems around Jaden, around Jai. I don't see anything negative. Very good. All the noise around him, I don't care. With us, he's polite, training well on and off ball. We're happy for him. Sometimes, he's young, man. Sometimes just the change of scene is good for him. Clearly, that's what it was. I complained about a foul on Wesley Fofana. That's why he got booked. But yeah, I don't know what foul he's talking about. But Anthony Taylor was horrific. I'm very proud of the performance. Yeah, like I think I like Iraola. I think he's a legit coach. I think he's very good. I think the level of coaching in the Premier League right now is stupid high. Like, this has quietly happened over the last 5-6 years, but like if you look at the Premier League, all the Premier League managers, right? Like if I go, I think FBref has all the managers in there. Let me see. No, it has goalkeepers. Let me see. Like if you look at the Premier League manager table, let's see, all the Premier League managers. Here we go. You have legitimately very good coach, legitimately very good coach, legitimately very good coach, legitimately very good coach, super promising up-and-coming young coach, promising young up-and-coming coach, very good coach in Germany, very good coach in England, pretty good coach in England, back-to-back promotions from League One, which is crazy. You never back-to-back promote out of the championship. Has done pretty well with low-budget teams, super good coach, world's best coach. He's been rubbish at United, but previously very good coach. Was bad for a little while, but otherwise very good coach. Super accomplished coach. Up and down. Very highly regarded coach. Very successful in lots of places. Okay. So, like, you have maybe 3 managers that I'm not like, oh my God, these guys are amazing. Like, outside of the Premier League, how many managers are not? Of the top 20 managers in the world, how many are not Premier League managers? Like, probably 8, maybe? 7 or 8? Like, you're probably talking like Xabi Alonso, Ancelotti, Hansi Flick, the Spanish guy at PSG, Luis Enrique. Like, there's not... Tuchel is unemployed. Conte. Like, there's not... There's maybe 8 guys not in the Premier League who are in the best 20 managers in the world. Which is pretty crazy. So we'll see. I saw somebody say they're disarmed by Maresca's honesty. I have been, like, very pleasantly surprised with I've liked Maresca so far. He strikes me. He's kind of boring. But I quite like him. I've been surprised. What else we got? Hit me with more questions in here. What do we do it next week if no Reese, no Gusto? Not Disasi again. I'll tell you that much. Against West Ham, like, you're probably... I don't know. It might be how they finish the game. Fofana at right back. I suspect they'll probably start there, actually. But I really want to see Tosin Colwell as the center back pair next week. That's definitely where I want to start. And we'll go from there. But I don't know. Maybe it's Caicedo right back, and he inverts into midfield, and you do like Madueke full width, something like that. I think there are options. Tuchel, Carlo, Conte, Flick, Nagelsmann. Yeah, I forgot about Nagelsmann. Inzaghi, I'm kind of whatever about. Simeone for sure. Yeah. Does Achiampong get a look in? I think Achiampong is a very talented young player. I do not think he's particularly ready to start games in the Premier League. I've been wrong before. Alfie Gilchrist looked a lot better than I thought he would. But I would like to see Achiampong kind of build up to that. Like, I would like to see Achiampong start at right back against Barrow and play 90 and go from there. And then a Conference League start. And then maybe, like, he puts 2 decent performances together, then you're looking at Premier League games. That's kind of more what I would see for him. That's more on the lane that I would be. It's fine. Chalobah can cover right back. Yeah, it would be nice. He's injured, but would be nice. So far, Maresca has shocked me with how good his personnel decisions have been, but how his tactics so far I barely see, and I don't see control. Like with Tuchel, it's too transitional. The tactics are there. You can see it. It's very clear to me, actually. Like, the build-up decisions are very easy to see because they're very deliberate. And it's very easy, like, starting from a goal kick. Like, you pause the TV or, like, whatever you look, and it's like, okay, where is everybody standing? Like, those are easy to see. I agree with you that we have not had the control in possession that we have had with Tuchel, but I would also tell you the roster is very different. Under Tuchel, like the back threes under Tuchel were Rudiger, one of the best possession center backs in the world. Thiago Silva, the best passing center back in the world. And take your pick of whoever the third one was. Sometimes it was Aspi, sometimes it was Christensen, like whatever, take your pick. There were a bunch of guys who played there. But like way better. And then the midfield was like often Jorginho and Kovacic, who are both excellent possession midfielders. Like, I love Caicedo, love, but like in possession, not even close to those two guys. And again, like ahead of them, like the thing I've said about Maresca, and I said it earlier, is like the front 5 guys have to not turn the ball over. That has to be their thing. And if you look at the way Tuchel played, like it was Mason Mount who was like super secure in possession there. It was often Kai Havertz, super secure in possession there. It was those sorts of guys who were very different in terms of setup. Thoughts on Felix, Sancho, and Nkunku playing together? The lack of defensive contribution scares me. Like it's not like it's better than replace one of those guys with Palmer. I don't think we'll see a lot of starts that way, but I think we'll see that a lot in games. Do you have any thoughts on the ownership situation, on what you would like to happen and what you actually expect to happen? I don't really want to talk about this because like I don't have anything to add that I'm like comfortable sharing. What I'll say is like there are people on Chelsea Twitter who work in private equity for their day jobs, and they are talking about it. And that's what I'll say. In terms of what I would like to happen or what I expect to happen, what I want is Chelsea to win soccer games and to stop throwing money away every single transfer window so I can like stop being so transactional. Like I thought last summer was a really good window. I really like Jackson. I was pretty optimistic about the Palmer move. I thought I thought it was like a solid window. Like, I was pretty happy with everything they did, and I was happy with, like, we're going to bring a small, settled squad, and that's going to be the team. There were some things I didn't like. Like, I didn't like Ugachukwu. I didn't like some of the fees paid for, like, younger guys, but I was pretty fine with everything. I loved Petrovic. Like, I was pretty happy with all that. And I was happy they did nothing in January. And I thought this season I would have got a backup 9, like a journeyman, a little bit older striker type who's going to beat up shit teams. And I might have looked to upgrade at winger. And that's probably all I would have done. And maybe a defensive midfielder. Maybe if I could find, like, the right guy. And I didn't feel like just bringing Andre Santos back. But that would have been my whole window. And I would have renewed Conor Gallagher. And, like, that's kind of where I would have been. And instead they have this, like, cocaine window with $90 trillion spent and, like, 40 players sold and whatever. Like, just, I don't like that. So I just want a little bit of stability. You know what I mean? That's what I want. And which of those groups will bring that? I don't know. But that's what I want. Stability. So Dimitri Law. Yeah, Dimitri works in private equity. I think actually not private equity, but he works in finance. But there's other people around that it's not just him. But you can hear with the thing with the owners is, like, there's two very different sides of this, right? And I just said I don't want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Todd Boehly, Mark Walter, Hans-Jörg Wyss are using their own money. They can do whatever they want. If they want to spend £1 billion every transfer window, they can do whatever they want. It's their money. Those guys, particularly Walter and Boehly, own the Dodgers, and the Dodgers just hire experts and get out of the way. They hired the best GM from the Tampa Bay Rays. They hired the best analytics staff. They hired the best coaches, and they have all the best players, and they pay the most in wage, all that stuff. And they're the best team. Like, that's what they are. The reporting is that Boehly wanted to hire Michael Edwards and be like, you run the club and get out of the way. The other side of this is that Clear Lake have a Bedad Igbali and Jose Feliciano. Bedad is reportedly, quote-unquote, drunk on player trading, was a comment that was reported this week. And he wants the sporting directors to report up to him. Like, that's a very different structure that I don't really like. Like, he does not know anything about soccer. Please get out of the room. So that's where I'm at with that. If you must know. What would my expectations be of Madueke this season? So I did a podcast about projecting out a bunch of guys for a bet I have with Kerry Cameron, a fun Twitter account. And we didn't do Madueke, but let's do it now. We can do it live. I'm gonna open up a Google Sheet. And I literally have it here. Let's open it up. Here we go. So let me add Madueke to the list, and we'll do it live. So Madueke last year, how many minutes did he play? Last year, all competitions, Chelsea played 51 games. So 51.90 is available. This year, or last year, Madueke played 18. Okay, so his 2021 minute share is 18 out of 51. So he played 35% of the minutes. Chelsea are going to play 64, 65 games, something like that this year. And so if he was to do that this year, right, if he was to play the exact same, it would be him playing something like 23 90s. If we go back, we look, okay, historically, last year he was like a 0.4, 0.37 XG plus XA guy. So if we do those two, we come out to 9 goals and assists. Okay, that's our starting point. Now, we can do two different things. So first, Do we think Madueke is going to play more? To me, the answer is obviously yes. He's already played 3 out of 5 90s, which is about 60% of the minutes. That's about 60% of the minutes. I think that's probably closer to correct. In my head, right, you have 4 wingers who are going to play. You have Madueke, you have Neto, you have Sancho, and then you have Nkunku and Palmer are a player together. Those 4 wingers, it's 5 guys, plus Mudryk. Those 4 guys are going to play almost 100% of the winger minutes. I think the starting guys are going to play 60%, and the sub guys are going to play 40%, roughly, because I don't think the differences are that big. So I would probably put Madueke at something like 60% of the minutes, which means he's going to play like 39 90s. Based on last year, that puts him to 14, up from 9. Okay, so now we talk about, well, do I think Inani's going to be a 0.4 XG plus XA guy? So we can go back and we can go look at his PSV stuff. His PSV numbers are gargantuan. But that's also a terrible league. I don't think he's going to be a 0.7 guy. So we can look at this year and it's like, okay, he's a 0.8 guy this year. But that's basically all coming from the Wolves game. So then we're like, okay, well, what was he against Servette? And we don't have the data for Servette. So, like, to me, if you regress his this year performance and his last year performance, and I'd say you're probably like at something like 75% his last year number, 25% this year's number, you would expect something like 0.5, which puts him at 19. And then based on his split, historically, he's like pretty even on XG and XA. I suspect he will be not super even on that. I'd probably call this something like 12 goals, 7 assists. That would be my expectation for Madueke for the year. And add in that he already has a hat trick and another goal and an assist. Like he's got 4 goals. So that would be like the rest of the season he scores 8 goals and 7 assists, which is like a reasonable, I think, fairly fine projection for a starting winger for Chelsea. I'm going to hate this summer. I'm definitely going to hate this summer. It's going to be super bad. Every Twitter private equity I've seen are desperate for Chelsea to get as far away from Clear Lake as is physically possible. Absolutely. I'm a business school professor, and all I can add to the ownership discussion is that the hubris and self-aggrandizement of men with one successful exit could be a renewable energy source. Yeah, the stuff people say about Clear Lake is like they used to be really smart post 2008, and then they kind of, the exact phrasing somebody said was they got outside of their strike zone, was what somebody told me, and now they're kind of whatever. What's interesting to me about Madueke is he's managed to stay pretty healthy since coming over after a brutal injury record in injury record, but you mean injury record in Ten Hag's league. Yeah, I mean, if he stays fit, it makes a big difference. But yeah, his injury record in Holland was really bad. But we'll see. I do feel like all data will be more accurate if you accept that Wolves is an outlier. For sure, it is an outlier. But sometimes, there's 2 kinds of players, right? There's dudes who, do nothing, and then bang, 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 huge game. And then there's guys who are, the same every week. They always give you a 7 or whatever. I think Madueke is an up and down guy. I think that's 100% what he is, because I think he has a very, this is going to sound like, what is it, Liam Neeson taken? He has a very specific set of skills. I think has a very specific set of skills, that he is really good at, and sometimes it's a bad matchup, and sometimes it's a good matchup. Like we talked about the Palace game, where he really struggled the second half against Palace because he really struggled the second half against Palace because they played wingbacks and jammed him all the time. Today he struggled because the fullback jammed him again. Against Wolves, he was pretty free to go against the fullback. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Madueke rolls a D20 before every performance, something like that. I want him to come out and I want him to start saying places are shit again. I think that's way funnier. Different variants around the same mean. So here's a fun one. So we're gonna do a stats lesson, and every time I do a a stats lesson, it definitely gets quieter. Okay. So when people talk about variance in football, there's like two things to think about. Okay. One is, if I am a team of some level, there is a distribution of performances around that level. And at a given performance, there is a distribution of outcomes from said performance. So like really, when we talk about Chelsea, right? Let's say Chelsea last season. Let me go pull up what Chelsea were last season. Okay? Chelsea last season were a plus 16, plus 17 expected goal team, right? So about half an expected goal every game. That is not every single game Chelsea wins 1.5 to 1.0 or whatever. What's their XG? About 2 to 1.5, right? Like that's not what happens. There is a spread of performances with the middle of this curve at plus 0.5 XGD, right? Like that's where they are. But now, so that's one half of the variance in performance. But then the other half is like you have a day where you're great and it's a plus 1.0 XGD game. Now you go to a second normal curve and you look at the second normal curve and go, okay, well at plus 1.0 XGD, what is the spread of those games? So like if I open, this is an awesome tool. Danny Page is like an OG stats guy. So this tool is awesome. You can put in all your shots and it tells you the outcome of the game based on all the shots you do. So like if we go, like let me go in here and see if I can. I don't want to type all these in. This is gonna be so boring. I'm not typing all these in. That's not happening. Let me go find like a random Chelsea game from FBref and just pull them in to show you kind of what it looks like. Let's see. Like if I go get the Palace game, right? So let's go get the Palace game. So here's the Palace game. If I go look at all these shots, right? I'm going to have to just fucking bring this in here. Let's see. So if I go, here's all the XGs, right? And we're going to say Chelsea is Team B because Team B is better. And then I'm going to go do the exact same thing and I'm going to go Palace. Okay. So we go bang. Nope. Let's try that again. Nope. Remember when FBref used to let you download tables? Remember when we used to do that? What is this? Just have to paste in the FBref link? Is that real? What do you mean by that? You just have to paste in the FBref link. So now I take all the Palace shots, right? And now they're going to be Team A because Team A is red and I want Chelsea to be blue. So like, okay, based on all those shots, Chelsea win 87% of the time. But so this, based on Chelsea have a 2 XGD, right? They have a 2 XGD for this game, but there is a normal distribution of goal differences around that 2 XGD. Just as often you win by 1 as you win by 3. In this instance, they drew. They tie 0-0. They tie 10% of the time based on that difference. But this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like based on your performance, you have some normal distribution around that performance, but the performance is also normally distributed around your true ability. So you have like 2 sets. So Chelsea, if we go back and look at last season, like I'm not going to do this now because it would actually take me time to do. But like if we go back and look at Chelsea's performances from last season, if Chelsea are a 0.5 XGD team, Chelsea are going to have like a big spread, a very wide spread. Because last year Chelsea were very up and down. Some games they were terrible. Some games they were really good. Around that average, but that's where the most common is going to be. I think Chelsea have the same average this year. But in that second curve, this curve where, okay, this is where you ordered, Chelsea were fairly unlucky last year. This year, if they have average luck, should be a Champions League team. This is a lot of why I've been so confident that I think Chelsea will make top four. But this is a super useful tool. Oh, Wasi, you were talking about some R code. Yeah, I got a fun little. Let me see. Can you guys see this? I don't think you can see this if I bring this over. Hold on. Where is this? There's OBS. Yeah, I don't think I can minimize this for some reason. Oh, I can. Oh no, it's gonna do the whole window. All right, I can't bring this over for some reason, but that's okay. I was gonna show you my R code for like a match report, which is fun. But yeah, that's why I think it's interesting. So less thrown games, but also not getting the breaks against like Spurs. Maybe again, it could be anything. It could go a weird way. Like Chelsea played City the first game of the season, basically the same as they played City last season, and they lose it this year. And last year we draw both of them. But the Wolves game and today we play them about even or worse, and we win both. But last year we lost to Wolves playing them about even, and we drew Bournemouth despite playing better. Like, it is, because soccer is so low scoring, it's super, super, super noisy. This is also why United the past 2 years have tested my faith in the normal distribution. So the fun thing about this is like James York, who is like the director of football at StatsBomb, he has like, we used to make fun of him because he like says there should be no takes about the Premier League before 8 games because there's not enough signal. But like the funny thing about soccer is because it's so low scoring that even over 38 games, it's just not that many games. Like, if you think about it, in a season, a really good team has like 75 XG. If you flip the coin 75 times, like you're not, the spread of outcomes is so high. Like it's just very funky. It's very funky. But it's really fun to think about. And this is why like I tried to be a little bit, I think people get really frustrated because I like am a little bit level head. I'm not super level headed. I'm very emotional when I watch, but I think like I skew towards like what I think the underlying level of the team is more than the results because we just don't have that much signal ever. So it's a real thing. Bluey, do you see Palmer and Enzo as Real Barca level guys? Do they have the highest ceilings at Chelsea? Ooh, that's a fun question. Do I see them as Real Barca level guys? Well, Palmer is already Real Barca level guy. Like that's what his level of performance has been. Is he that guy long term? I don't know. I like if I go back to this, like I have Palmer down for about 32. I juiced him to 34 because he already has 3 assists. I think he's gonna have a down year. Last year he was a 0.8 XG guy. This year I have him at something like 0.7. I think Palmer's super legit though. But I would be shocked if he ever left England. Like I would say more likely is he goes to City or United or something if he was to leave Chelsea, but I don't really see that happening. Enzo is fun because Enzo is obviously very good, but he feels kind of like a bad fit for the Premier League where like everything is a little fast for him. My like long-term thought of him is that he's going to end up at Barca or Real to replace Kroos for about what Chelsea paid for him is kind of my expectation. Maybe a little bit less, maybe like 100 or something like that. But I would be kind of surprised. I don't know, somebody let me know if this is true. I saw some stuff today that he missed his flight back from Argentina, which like I don't really know what that's about. So we'll see what that is. the minute split thing is going to be the most interesting thing to me this year because of all these players are close enough in quality that they all probably think they should be starting. Definitely. I'm very curious to see what some of these wage packages are in terms of incentives, if we ever find that information out, because I think a lot of them will have been like, well, I'm going to win the starting job and I'm going to get paid way more. But I think I'll be super curious to see how this minute split looks at the end of the year. Do we know when FBref puts all the numbers in? They go in at 3 a.m. Eastern time is when they run the pipeline update, is 3 a.m. Eastern time. So like 8 a.m. in England the next day. But yeah, they go in overnight in America. Normally they are on before I go to bed here and on Pacific time. So it's there. Chelsea press release said he and Kieran Dewsbury Hall were ill. Who's he? Enzo? Yeah, maybe. I'd be curious to see what that deal is. I want to see. Let's see. Some Anthony Taylor ones are. I'm sure there's some good ones. Anthony Taylor was so bad today, man. You know what the worst thing is? I actually think he's a pretty good ref. Like, I think he actually does a pretty good, especially in big games. I think he generally does a pretty good job, but he is so shit every time he has Chelsea. It's ridiculous. I want to see, has Maresca done his, like, actual post-match press conference yet? I want to see if he's done that yet. Here we go. What do we got in here? Tosin was good. Nice. I'm glad he clocks that. We lacked quality inside the box. I'm curious if we see more. Nkunku striker. I kind of think because they didn't go get one that's what we're gonna see. Is Nkunku and Felix as the backup 9. That's my guess, and we'll see Guiu play. We'll see Guiu play Conference League, but my guess is we're going to see those dudes play a lot of backup 9 minutes. But I like it, man. And Nkunku as a 9 is legit. Yeah, we already have Misha there. Yeah, sure. He's definitely going to play now. At the end of the game, I said to the players, I'm not going to play all the games. What they have to do is what they did tonight. If I play, I have to give them my best. If I go for 10 minutes, I give them my best. Yeah, like... I like it, man. I like it. I thought I read somewhere in Nkunku saying he didn't want to lead the line. I don't know. Nkunku was an awesome striker in Germany, man. He was really good in Germany as just a legit striker. Like, people called him a second striker. He was not. He was a legit striker. And they played Poulsen as like a wide target man with him, kind of. But he's a legit... I don't think if he has to be an outball to hold it up, that's for him. But we'll see. Also, it was very nice... very nice song for Jadon Sancho. I thought that was fun. Non-Chelsea game specific, are you still coaching? No, I moved to the US for my actual job. I'm an engineer. And I'm on a work visa, so I can't do anything else for money here other than my actual job. Because I don't have a green card or anything. So I do this for fun. Like, my YouTube channel isn't monetized. I have enough subs and views and stuff that I could, but it's not because it's just for fun. And this is gonna be so arrogant and I'm gonna get clowned, but I won't coach for free. I know I'm good at what I do, so I won't coach for free. Also, I live in a state that it's a desert, so there's not a lot of soccer here. I will say, but that's that. How do you fit Sancho, Palmer, and Nkunku all together? I think you don't. I think you often play. Well, those three are easy. You play Palmer as the right winger and Nkunku as the 10, Sancho as the left winger. But I think the answer, because there's I get asked this after every game, is how do you fit these 10 wingers together? They're not all going to play every game. And to be fair, this is the same thing that this is what he said. I said to the players, Nkunku, Palmer, Sancho, Felix, Madueke, Misha, and Neto. You're not going to play every game. It's going to be play well and you'll keep playing. Madueke scored the hat-trick and got 3 games. He was not great today. Wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't start against West Ham. And this is the thing. Keep playing, keep scoring goals, and you'll keep playing. The only player who I think will start every game, no matter what, is Cole Palmer. And I think that's fine. And that's, I think, a good place to start. Would you have rather kept Datro Fofana to play 30 minutes every game? But you can't really do that with a large number of attacking midfielders who don't defend. Man, I really like Fofana, Datro Fofana. I think I would have happily kept him as a backup 9. The rumors, and I never liked this stuff because like he's a young black guy in England, like moved from Norway. Like the rumor is that he has an attitude problem. And he's clashed in a bunch of places. Like he clashed with the Union Berlin coach, but also like they had a super hot season and then were so bad the next season. Like that's a hard vibes place to be. And then Burnley were like going down. So of course they stopped playing him because they weren't going to buy him. So like I look at it and I'm like, I think he's going to just rip the Turkish league. And then you decide what you want to do in January. A couple of people have pointed out Göztepe, the team he's going to on loan to, are owned by Southampton's owners. So like maybe there's a world where Southampton just buy him out of his loan, especially if like they haven't scored a lot of goals or something like that. But we'll see. 110 degrees in the shade. Shade's okay. Nevada's dry, man. But in the summer, in the sun, like there were a couple. I think the hottest it got was 117. I'm not in Vegas, so it's not that hot, but it was like 117, the hottest. Like my wallet, I'm going to grab my wallet and show you this because you're going to laugh. Hold on. My wallet has melted in the sun. The leather has like melted from being in my car. That's how hot it was. Somebody's going to fucking steal my credit cards now. I hope I didn't show anything there. But yeah, it was crazy hot in the summer. 117 Fahrenheit. And for not Americans, because I don't know my Fahrenheits to Celsius yet either. That's, I think, like 47. Yeah, 47 degrees. So, like, that's how hot it was. Yeah, it was ridiculous. If Maresca's ballsy, he would just send Mudryk into space and never play him again. I don't know. I actually don't think that's the right call for him. Like, I think you have to keep coaching him and playing him. Because there's nothing there. Like, he doesn't suck. Last year was like, if you look at Misha last year, 1,600 league minutes, 8 goals and assists worth of XG. That's like half a goal or XG a game. That's for a 22-year-old who is undeveloped as him. That's an awesome season. That's an awesome development season. I was really happy with the steps he took last season. Like I was so intrigued with where he was heading. And I was really excited. I actually thought like this summer I thought the Maresca move would actually be really good for him. I thought stylistically he was a good fit as the left winger. And just like he came in this summer and looked so bad all of preseason. And like I get why he's not playing. He's looked terrible every time he comes on. I totally get it. But I think like just throwing him to the Wolves is not right. I think like I would definitely look like January Bundesliga move. That would be where I would go. And I would probably look for an 18-month loan. Like, can you get someone who's like upwardly mobile, mid-table Bundesliga? Like if we go, like, I don't know, who's like doing okay in the Bundesliga right now? Like the club who always come to mind are like Mönchengladbach. But I think they got relegated. So like if you give me like Frankfurt or Hoffenheim, like somebody like maybe Werder Bremen, somebody plays with wingers and attacks, like actually attacks, somebody there in the middle of the table, I'm super about it. But we'll see. I hate the young black guy with attitude problem brief. It's uncomfortable. I agree. I feel the same way about the like black guy as defensive midfielder thing. I talked about that with Ugo Chukwu. It's like kind of hard to deal with. Outside of United, too obvious, do you think any other managers get sacked? I think Ange is slightly overrated in his first game against us last year. May have been the worst coach match I've ever seen. I think Postecoglou is very overrated. I think there's no chance he gets sacked, though. Um, no, I think like other than Ten Hag, who I think will be sacked before Christmas, it would be like the bottom of table guys like Gary O'Neill, Marco Silva. I don't think Kieran McKenna would go. I could see Glasner going if Palace keeps sliding. I don't think Sean Dyche would go. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think Nuno would go because I think Forest are good. I don't think Eddie Howe would go. Yeah, I don't know. It's really Marco Silva, Gary O'Neill, maybe Lopetegui if it was really bad, and Ten Hag. I think that's it. Just bought a CPO share with your card info. Thanks. I have a CPO share. I have a virtual one somewhere, which is great. Getting myself a Cybertruck courtesy of Kira's self-lead credit card info. They make them down the road for me, so that's fun. I remember Seb saying he sees Mudryk as a cam rather than winger. Seb has a thing for like wingers who don't score becoming eights. I really don't see it for Mudryk, but some players I do. But I don't see it with him. But that's the thing that Seb really likes is like wingers who don't score becoming eights. I'm more of the like wingers who don't score become fullbacks. Like I actually think Mudryk as a wingback would cook. Like I think he would be a really good wingback because he tries hard, but he doesn't really score, and he's a very good passer. He's a sneaky good passer, and he's so fast. I think like Victor Moses style wingback for Conte, he would cook. Do you think Andre is Chelsea ready? No, is the short answer. Because I think the things he does are like not super useful to this iteration of Chelsea, but I think he will be. I don't know when Strasbourg play this weekend, but I think he's pretty good. The guy is legit, and he's so all action, which is fun. But no, I don't think he's quite ready for Chelsea. I thought he was another one who had a bad preseason. Angers tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Actually, it might be today. No, tomorrow. Agreed he was better last year. It looks like he's regressed, actually about to be 24. Seems like a lost cause at least here. Yeah, I mean, if you can get a good deal to get off him, I would. But I think you're more likely to get a good deal if you loan him for a year and a half and then see. He should span the Forest goal movement. Dylan Payne, my guy. Yeah, Dylan Payne knows off-ball movement. Yeah, that like, I did a video that was like how I would coach Mudryk, and it was that movement 1,000 times. Is like just make the move in behind, show feet, then spin because you're the fastest guy around. Really enjoyed your video on Mudryk. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly what it is. Kira's Wolves going down. Yeah, I think Wolves stink. I don't think they're very good. My sim gave us a 9% chance of winning today based on the XG. I'll remove the pen and see what it does, but it's funny. Yeah, that seems about right with a penalty like that and that low XG. That seems about. Actually, that might even seem a little bit high, but I think that's about right. How highly did you rate Oscar at Chelsea, and did you get him starting over KDB? This is funny. I loved Oscar. I was a huge Oscar stan. I thought he was like, and what I will say in my defense is Oscar was so good, man. Here's a fun IT Kier story. So like I've done a little bit of helping teams out with analytics stuff, mostly in MLS. And Oscar has been floated to MLS teams like 20 times. Basically every year since he got to China. Once China shut the money down, every year was like, do you want Oscar to MLS? He also got offered back to Chelsea a few times in the late 2010s or early 2020s. Like when he wasn't like old yet. Yeah, he just like made huge money. Like he was making like 350 grand a week or 500, like some insane amount of money. That dude has been a mega ultra superstar forever. He was so good. Like This output from a 10 with his level of defensive work was nuts. The thing was with Oscar is he always got injured. He could never log like high minutes totals because he always had like muscle problems. So I totally got why he played over KDB. I thought it was really dumb because they should have played together. Like a better Chelsea setup would have been Oscar and KDB as eights with Matic behind him. Like there's a world where like that's a real team for a long time. I was also like a super KDB stan. There's like, I'm pretty sure all my tweets that are older than 2 or 3 years are nuked, but like if they weren't, you could go back and find tweets of me like when we played like the Thai All-Stars in preseason and it's Lukaku and KDB with like we win 14-0 and it's like 7 KDB assists or something like that. Yeah, that was a fun time. That was such an exciting time to get happy about. That was a good. Curious to with the pen, Chelsea 9.6, 21.8 draw, Bournemouth 68.5. Yeah, that feels right. We were pretty lucky to win today. My old tweets were talking about Marco van Ginkel. Bro, I think he's retired now. But I still follow him on Instagram. And he's I'm glad that he like has an okay life. It's also really fun, like a lot of the old Chelsea Academy guys like Todd Kane and stuff like that I still follow on Instagram because they were all my age coming through. And it was like fun to follow those guys. Curious to hear what other Chelsea players you thought were going to break through but whiffed. Let's just go look at some Chelsea rosters and see who I thought was like quite good. I'll go like 2010 and we'll start there. Because anybody before that, I don't know. I was like 15. I wasn't really paying attention like that. We'll go Carlo. We'll go like the league winning season. None of these guys. I like Patrick Van Aanholt. I thought he was fun. He was also pretty good at Palace for a while. He was a fun one. I was not a big Gail Kakuta guy. Josh McEachran's another one that I was like kind of whatever about. A big Danny Sturridge guy. Big Danny Sturridge believer I was. Oh, Dylan Payne, real answer is Lewis Baker. We're getting there. I was a big Danny Sturridge guy. It was so clear that he was like legitimately very good at Chelsea, and that they let him go to Liverpool for a small fee was so dumb. Sturridge was like very clearly going to be an excellent goal scorer. This season, this 11-12 run was like very legit. I remember a cup game against United, maybe like a 4-3 game where he was just nuts. And I was like, yeah, I'm into you. I was a big Lukaku believer, obviously. I think everybody was a Lukaku believer. I still think the Everton sale was so dumb. Who else is in here? This was kind of like a black hole. There weren't that many good players. Big Raul Morales guy. I really liked him. Lots of fun. Ake. Ake was like, I think, pretty nailed. I'm trying to think if there were any guys I really liked who ended up being not good. I thought Callas was going to be better. Same with Van Ginkel. You know what? I'll say Van Ginkel was like a big one that I thought would be really good, and didn't end up being because of injuries. John Swift, that's a fun name I haven't thought about. Did you see it with Salah when he was here? The thing with Salah is that Salah's data when he was here was really good. Like his XG, and this was like early days of XG, but his XG was really, really good in small minutes. I think Ian Graham or Will Spearman, one of the Liverpool guys, gave a Opta Pro forum talk showing Salah at Chelsea and then at Fiorentina and then at Roma, and like how actually he didn't get that much better, just he played more at all of the places. And this talk is probably like 7-8 years ago, but I think it's on YouTube still. But I was a Salah believer. Like his goal against Arsenal was sick. That was always a fun one. Bertrand probably turned out worse than I thought he'd be, but again, it's like he played so well early. Early XG makes me shudder even more than current XG. Early XG was fine, man. Like it's crazy how much value you get out of just like where is the shot from. Like it makes such a difference. Michael Cox wrote a piece this week about like how has analytics impacted soccer, and like, oh, it didn't. And like, man, a lot of people, even a lot of analytics people, were like, yeah, I kind of agree. And they're like, well, teams were shooting closer forever. And it's like, yeah, teams in the NBA shot threes before Daryl Morey as well. But like, it's the rate of change. Like, you can look at the number of the proportion of shots from outside the box in the last 10 years has like cut in half. So like, even early XG was super impactful. I love Charlie Masonda so much. He's one. I thought Charlie Masonda was going to be so good, and it just like did not happen for him. But I thought Masonda was really good. Chalaba, I thought was like competent. I thought Chalaba would be kind of like a Tom Cleverley, like he'd stay at Chelsea for a few years as a backup. But like, it didn't really hit. Quadrado is one I got very wrong. I thought Quadrado would be so good at Chelsea as like a real like old school touchliney winger, and he just wasn't at all. Never got in the pitch, like was bad every time he played, like didn't hit at all. And then became like a serviceable wingback, which was fun. Who else? Let's see who else is fun on the young player side. This is how you know every single person in here is a dude. It's like peak guy remembering. We're just like looking at players. Clark Salter ended up having a way better career than I thought. Ola Aina, I really liked Ola Aina as like a two-sided fullback. So a lot of my like gripes about Chelsea Academy players over the year is not that like, I don't think Ola Aina is the world's best fullback. I don't think he's amazing, right? But I think the thing with guys like Ola Aina and guys like Chalaba and other dudes is that like Ola Aina can play both fullbacks and center back and is totally fine at all of them, has a super long throw, and is like a fine squad player who you barely got any money for. He would have been totally fine to play 1,000 minutes a season for the rest of his career, and you pay him, like, how much does he get paid? Like, this is nothing. You pay this guy your backup your whole life, and that's amazing. You're so happy with that. Like, that's a super useful squad player who costs you nothing, doesn't make any money, and just plays forever. Somebody send this stream to Chelsea Youth, and he can just hear us talk about Ola Aina and Jake Clark-Salter. Charlie Colke, he's one that I got really wrong. I thought he was so good. He was so good in the youth teams. Like, I really liked that he was just absolutely nails in like some of those Youth Cup finals, like the Fulham one, the 7-5. He was legit. I thought Vega had a good second half. Yeah, I thought so too. The thing I like about Vega is like every time he dribbles across half, you can hear on the TV, you can hear the voice in his head screaming to shoot, which is like so entertaining. The cost of buying Aina as a backup is so high. The downside to playing him at the academy as a backup is question mark. Yeah, dude, they instead of playing Ola Aina, they bought Zappacosta for $20 million. That's exactly what that was. Tammy, Fick. I didn't think Fick was that good. Fick ended up being way better than I expected. Fick ended up being too good. I wanted Fick to be bad enough to play for Canada. That was what I wanted, but it didn't happen. Traore has probably ended up being worse than I thought. That's probably true. Who else we got in here? Kennedy's one I thought would be better. He was so good in preseason against Barca. Anybody remember that one? That's a fun one. Yeah. Zappacosta Manaja. This guy, Manaja la Miseria. Luca Tinarello. I'm going to tell you a story because as an Italian man, you're going to appreciate this story. I went to Italy on vacation in February. I grew up in Canada with all Italian people. And all my friends are Italian or Portuguese. So when we would coach or we would play together, we would swear in Italian and Portuguese because the referees don't know what it means, and so you don't get in trouble. I go to Italy on vacation. I am a rather portly man, much more portly in February than I am now. And I climb to the top of St. Peter's Basilica. And I'm blowing. I look like Enzo Fernandez after international break. Like I am blowing. And I get to the top of St. Peter's Basilica. And the stairs are and I'm exhausted. It's like 580 steps. And you get to the top, and there's a narrow spiral staircase that is so narrow. There's a rope down the middle, not a handrail, a rope. And I see this rope and go, Porco Dio. And Porco Dio in Italian, for those who don't know, means God is a pig, which is a common Italian curse. I have said this in Italian, in Italy, surrounded by people making pilgrimage to this holy place. And this old Italian lady has looked at me and lost her mind, being like, what are you saying? And is telling her ushering her grandchildren past me to be like, what are you saying? That's my Italian cursing story. What were my thoughts on Batshuayi? I loved Mishi, man. He was another one who had like crazy XG numbers in small sample, but then when he was a starter, like it just wasn't there for him. I would have very happily kept Batshuayi as a backup forever. Like, so when I talk about the striker that I wanted for this window, that I wanted a backup 9 who like just comes on as a sub and like plays 1,000 minutes a season, Batshuayi is exactly the type of guy I want. He probably makes too much money now, and he's a little bit older. And he's like not quite good enough now, but as like a dude, that's exactly the kind of guy that I want now. But he's one that I think they got really wrong profile wise. Like he played in a 2 his whole career and scored loads of goals in a 2, and then he came to Chelsea to play on his own and couldn't do it, but was really good as a sub. So it's a fun. Yeah, that's a good story. That's the Batshuayi 5 goals in 200 minutes season. Yeah, absolutely. Didn't it feel like second half Tosin would just play these simple passes that would get the attackers turned? Tosin's a really good passer, way better than I expected. I thought I showed this earlier. Like I thought it made such a difference when they went to this 3 than the other 3, because he would just boop and you're gone, and he was so calm, which I thought was really nice. Another young guy. Remember Carvalho, Eduardo, the goalie? What a weird time that was. That was like when we had a stretch of like Mark Schwarzer, Eduardo, Asmir Begovic, like very strange set of backup goalkeepers before Bettinelli. Boga was legit. I always wonder if Gary Cahill didn't get sent off against Burnley, what happens to Jeremy Boga's Chelsea career. Ampadu, big Ampadu guy as well. Really big Ampadu guy. I'm glad he's doing well at Leeds. I think he's like another one who I think would have been an excellent squad player because he plays a bunch of positions. Christensen has turned out worse than I thought. The streets will never forget Schwarzer versus Liverpool. Yeah, what a performance, man. What a performance. That's a fun one. When do you think we started falling behind the cities and Liverpools? When we fired Conte, like around then. But it was like that window. We missed out. Yeah, Elliot Sherman, literally as the thought comes into my brain. The Conte window where we go in the January, instead of getting Van Dijk, we don't get anyone in January, and we don't get Van Dijk. And then the next window, we get Kepa instead of Alisson. That's the turning point for the next like 6 years of world soccer. So different if those two guys come to Chelsea. But like Chelsea win the league under Conte and it goes totally wrong. And they choose, like, it's actually funny if you think back. So that window, Chelsea have Diego Costa, Morata is at Real Madrid, but I think he was actually at Juventus, maybe? Yeah, he was at Juventus. He goes back to Real Madrid and scores a bag load of goals as a sub. And everyone is choosing. There's like this weird carousel of Diego Costa, Alvaro Morata, and Romelu Lukaku. And I think Zlatan, maybe? No, Zlatan was gone before. Wasn't at United yet. But one of them was going to United. One of them was going to Chelsea. And that was like the triangle. And it was like, is Morata going to go United? Is Lukaku going to go Chelsea? And Conte wanted Lukaku. And they didn't do the deal because it was too expensive. They got Morata. And then Costa goes to Atleti for 55 million or whatever after like hiding in Brazil. And Lukaku goes to United. Lukaku sucks at United. Morata sucks at Chelsea. And then you have the whole mess that comes years and years later. But I often think about how different that year would have gone. With that. But that Conte team was really fun. I think people look back at that more harshly than they should. Young Trev, Kyle Scott, Douche. Yeah, a lot of fun guys. Lewis Baker, I don't think even made a Premier League appearance, so he's probably not even going to be in any of these squads. I cannot explain the bar to which I thought Lewis Baker was. I have never seen if you are unfamiliar, you should go back and look at the Lewis Baker years, like the youth league games. I remember a game against AC Milan that was like just scandalous, bro. This guy would take corners and set pieces with both feet in the same game, like Santi Cazorla. He was different. And he's another one who got done so dirty by his loans because he went to terrible teams who didn't play any soccer. And then he comes back in preseason and plays center back for Tuchel. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Did Baker score a Rabona against Arsenal? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was him. Actually, let me see. I don't remember if it was a Rabona. I don't remember. Let me see. Lewis Baker, Rabona. Yeah, here we go, baby. Let's see. Islam Farouz? Anyone remember Lewis? Come on. It's not a Rabona. But it is a crazy goal. I did forget about this. This is fun. All right, we're gonna have a test. How many guys can everyone name here? At chat, who does everyone remember who this is? This is, I think, Dujon Sterling. But it might be Isaac Suwan Cambo, who ended up like a Swedish guy. That's Swifty. You have Lou Baker making his run. You've got Islam Farouz. And you've got Izzy Brown, back post. Vamos. What a fun one. But yeah, if you ever look like at old Lewis Baker highlights, he was different. And he still scores like a couple worldies, but like he was on a different play here. Like if we go look, I don't care if my stream gets done. Like this guy just hits bangers, both feet from everywhere. Izzy Brown, I was so wrong. Yeah, Izzy Brown, everybody was wrong. Everybody was wrong on Izzy Brown. But he's had like a very nice EFL career and like has a family and like it's nice for him. And I think he retired recently because he's been getting injured. He tore his Achilles a few times. But like just bang. Lewis Baker was like a Beckham regen, but both feet, 2-footed Beckham regen. Just so fun. I can't believe I'm just watching Lewis Baker highlights. This is the dream. Shout out Football Productions. Yeah, that's Lewis Baker. What a name to go back to. But these teams, he could do it on a rainy night and stuff. God, I remember being rabid at the thought of Baker and Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek has had such a nice career, man. I'm so happy for him that he recovered from his Achilles. He's so smart, man. Like he played a whole season at wingback under Tuchel. I loved Loftus-Cheek, and I'm glad. I'm really glad for him that he's had a good career. Let's see. I don't know. None of the other guys like Gahey has ended up being about what I thought he'd be. Like I wasn't super high on him on the academy, but it was fun. All right, peace, Elliot Sherman. Thanks for hopping in, man. Lots of fun questions today. We gone long today. We gone long, but whatever. It's fun. Yeah, that's all the guys, man. There's a lot of guys. You know what? I wish I had more time to follow the academy now, because now I don't really know. I don't really know all the guys now, but people seem really excited about a few of them. Broja, there's still time. I thought he was our Holland. I was like never into Broja. I'll take my flowers on that one. I was never really into him that much. I miss Tuchel. I miss Tuchel so dearly. What a fun team these were. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right, I'm gonna give everybody a few more minutes for questions, and then we'll skedaddle out of here. But if you got questions, hit them. If you got questions, hit them, and we'll get out of here. Big fan of the post match being longer than the actual match. Normally I stop at an hour, but then I looked and it was like an hour and a half, and we're out. How did you feel about Fabregas' stint at Chelsea? I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did, but super scandalously fun player to watch in person. I went. You can kind of see it on my wall. If I like there, that's my first ever Chelsea match ticket, which was they beat Swansea 3-1 the season they won the title under Conte, and Fabregas scored or assisted like a ridiculous goal, and he was so fun to watch. Yeah, he was really fun. I also quite liked that he settled in with Chelsea quite well. Like he ended up being like a kind of nasty guy, which I liked. It was fun. I think he'll end up being quite a good coach. Like Como, I actually don't know how Como are doing right now in the first couple weeks, but they got promoted last year, and their stadium is like fun. A friend of mine went on vacation. Apparently, you can just like walk into the stadium. Bad is the but look at that, sneaky 0 XGD. That's fun. If I could have only one of N'Golo Kante and Hazard, who would I pick? Who? Probably Conte drives winning more, but I think in like the history of Chelsea, Hazard is probably more important, which is pretty crazy for somebody who was like the best player in a Champions League final. But Hazard is probably more important for like those years of Chelsea. Like, I don't know, actually. I don't know. That's a bad question. I hate you for asking that. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pick. Hazard Palmer combinations. I don't know. That's a weird one. Hazard was different, man. That guy. I've never watched a player not named Lionel Messi who just like does nothing and then wins you the game like that. He was different. The worst defensive player that's ever played for Chelsea. So not interested, but different level. I think if I'm a coach, like, and purely about winning, I'm picking Conte. Conte like covers so many gaps. He's the biggest Band-Aid ever. How does someone like Enzo's passing compare to previous Chelsea playmakers? I think Enzo and Fabregas is a very good comparable. I think where Fabregas was in his career would really struggle with what the Premier League is today. I think Enzo and Fabregas is a very good comparison. I wish Enzo would lean into the Fabregas stuff more, like be a deeper passer. I really dislike Enzo is at his best facing forward, face the pitch, and he's always too high. And I think Fabregas is very similar. Even Neymar. I don't know. Even Neymar. Yeah, Neymar for Barca was way better defensively than Hazard was for Chelsea. Way better. Later career Neymar was a joke, but like at Barca when he was young, he actually tried. I don't think Hazard ever tried defensively. And to be fair, like that wasn't his job. Like he was the free player who didn't have anything to do, and he would get the ball and he would do everything the other way. He was that good. So it's different. It's different. If you could make him do it, is there one strict change you would make Enzo enact? I would tell him he is not allowed to get further. He can never be more than the fifth furthest forward player. So there always has to be 4 players ahead of him. So if he wants to like arrive late in the box, he can do it, but he can never be higher than the 5th furthest forward player. Something like that. Enzo's lack of mobility, I think, is overstated. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's a little heavy, but we'll see. How much could we use Prime Matic? Yeah, Prime Matic would be fun. He would be good. If I could make Enzo Maresca enact something, I would make Enzo Maresca force Enzo Fernandez to not be further forward than the 5th highest player. That would be my change. How about that? If I could make Enzo Maresca do one thing. Sub earlier. The subs are late, man. I've been that's a heavy expectation on him to count. No, there's like a force field. He like can't physically pass it. He doesn't have to think about it. No, I think I've been kind of annoyed about the subs. The subs are late. Like especially with 5 subs. Like watch how Arne Slot has used Liverpool's subs so far. I'm a big Arne Slot guy, but he has been so smart about keeping Trent and Robertson fresh that like they're injury prone dudes who are like they're gonna play way more games than they normally do because he's been very good about taking them out at 75 minutes. And given what we know about guys like James and Gusto and Fofana and so on, like Gusto gets hurt because Gusto ran super red in the minutes because Reece James was out and because he never got subbed. And I think you can afford to be more aggressive, especially when you have so many players who can play on the bench. That would probably be the one, like, free money one. It's like just sub earlier. Like, we know the research is very clear. There's a lot of papers. The research is very clear that the subs have to come earlier. Like, the benefit of fresher players is way bigger than what you lose from replacing your better players with worse ones, for sure. So that would be my one for sure. Alrighty, I'm gonna show you guys one last thing, and then we're gonna get out of here. And you should read it. Sam Gregory is the director of data at U.S. Soccer. He used to work for Inter Miami. Do I think Slot could be an upgrade on Klopp? Not an upgrade, but I think he's good. He wrote a paper about assigning goal probability, so like things like possession value, to high intensity runs. So off ball movement and sprints. How does that impact the value of a goal? It's a very technical paper, but it's super cool. I suggest you go read it. Would highly recommend, because there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Sam's also a great follow. But like would highly recommend. I think it would be really good. So I would say go read this. If you're feeling really nerdy, go check out Sam Gregory's Twitter and go do that. Which club do you fear Tuchel going to? I hope he doesn't go to United, because he'll be good there. He'll be really good there. Tuchel's an excellent coach, man. I think he's legitimately, it's him, it's Pep, it's Klopp, and nobody else I think is that close to those 3. But we'll see. We'll see. Bad rabbits, real heads know about the magical hour mark. Absolutely. Alrighty, we're gonna leave it there. I'll drop a podcast episode. It'll probably come out Monday morning. Bob Sanchez, I've been looking at the guy. I knew that when the goalkeeper dives early, he tends to switch. I know he was gonna put it there. Good decision, good save. Let's go, Bob. Big Bob performance today. I hope he kicks on. I like Sanchez. I like him. But yeah, podcast episode is gonna drop Monday. I appreciate it if y'all share that, because it's cool. And then drop likes on this, and And we're living life. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheer for Spurs to drop points tomorrow, so we can have a better chance on the top 4. We probably won't do 2-hour streams like this very often, but you know what? We were having fun. We were guy remembering. We were looking at Lewis Baker. It's too hard to be mad. Alrighty, enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. And as always, enjoy the soccer. Bye-bye.